Hi, my name is Chike Akua. I'm an educator with over 20 years' experience, and 14 of those years were as a classroom teacher. I'm also a former Teacher of the Year. I'm the author of 10 books, including Education for Transformation, The Keys to Releasing the Genius of African American Students, and Parent Power, The Keys to Your Child's Academic and Social Success. I'm an educational consultant and curriculum designer, and I travel around the country working with schools and school systems to increase student achievement. I'd like to bring you greetings from the Teacher Transformation Institute, where we use standards-based, research-driven, culturally relevant instructional strategies to increase student achievement. I'd also like to bring you greetings from AfricanOriginsOnTour.com, where we're illuminating the link between history and destiny. I want to share with you some of the most powerful images that we've been able to pull together as a part of our Black History Poster Pak. And it's becoming increasingly popular in schools and school systems around the country because what we've discovered through our research and practice is that our children can't be what they can't see. They constantly receive on a daily basis all sorts of degenerate images portraying them as pimps, players, criminals, thugs, violent, uneducated people. And so what we have to do as conscious and committed educators is to then place before them the images that show them doing the things that we want them to do, show them pictures and images of people who look like them doing great things. And so with that, I introduce you to the Black History Poster Pak. Join me on the journey. Marcus Garvey led the largest movement of African people in history. He had over 6 million followers worldwide as the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. He employed over 1,000 black people in Harlem, New York, and over 2,000 black people worldwide. He said, with confidence, you have won before you have even started. Perhaps that's why he was able to build factories, stores, and shops that employed so many of the people in his own community and helped to invigorate, electrify, and unify black people to do great things. Now, this poster should be in every classroom because it's the student creed which helps us to deconstruct the negative values and reconstruct the values that we want all of our children to have. It simply says, I'm a student seeking to be a scholar. The standard is excellence today and tomorrow. I am disciplined, focused, and on time. I am organized, respectful, and responsible. I am on a mission to elevate myself, my family, my community, and humanity. This student creed is being recited by children all over America because teachers and principals understand the power of having our children affirm the best of who they are. So all of the values that we want them to know and to actualize are rooted in the student creed. This is a wonderful, wonderful resource to have in every school and in every classroom. Frederick Douglass is known as an incredible abolitionist and publisher of the North Star newspaper. He said, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Araminta Harriet Tubman was one of the principal and primary conductors of the Underground Railroad. She is known for having said, I freed hundreds of slaves, never lost one. I could have freed thousands if only they knew they were slaves. Paul Robeson, attorney, activist, actor, and vocalist, graduate of Columbia University, said there can be no greater tragedy than to forget one's origins. I have studied for years, or rather I have struggled for years, for the independence of the colonial peoples of Africa. In my music, my plays, my film, I want to carry always this central idea, to be African. It was Paul Robeson who traveled the world singing songs of freedom and liberation to oppressed and underrepresented people. He is certainly one who carries the tradition of African excellence and achievement in everything that he did. Delzino Wilson Debriano is the president and co-creator of Tag Team Marketing International and the Black Business Network. He and his wife, Deborah Wilson Debriano, at the age of 23, were both bankrupt, broke, and homeless, living in a car. 3 short years later, they were both multimillionaires. Now, let me answer the question that you may be wondering. No, they did not sign a multimillion-dollar sports or entertainment contract. They went into business and built one of the most incredible businesses that the world has ever seen. They had over 3 million customers, and they had over 230,000 black distributors. They made history as the most productive people in the history of network marketing, the most productive black people in the history of the network marketing industry. Delzina Wilson Debriano says, Black people, we are an awesome people. We have overcome every challenge that we have ever faced in history. Now we must unite and spend our money with each other consistently so that wealth will top the list of our triumphs. Deborah Wilson Debriano, like her husband, Delzino Wilson Debriano, is not only a millionaire, she's a millionaire maker. As the vice president of Tag Team Marketing International and the co-creator of the Black Business Network, she has helped thousands upon thousands of black people achieve and attain success. She says, it's time that we as black people take control of our future by creating our own businesses and supporting them. We can do this. Imhotep is the first recorded physician and healer in human history. He is the architect of the step pyramid. He is the mathematician. He was the advisor to King Zoser, who commissioned him to develop and construct and design the step pyramid. He is known as a multidisciplinary genius. At a time when African American children and children of color are underrepresented in the STEM areas, such as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, this poster of Imhotep should be in every classroom, reminding our children of their greatness and their cultural connection to scientific excellence. Queen T is one of our magnificent black women in history. She lived during the famed 18th dynasty of Kemet, or Egypt. She was the mother of Pharaoh Akhenaten and ruled with her husband Amenhotep III. Ptahhotep is written the oldest complete text in the world. It's over 4,500 years old, and it's known in that category of writing known as wisdom literature. In it, he shared some of the African origins of character development, which has always been an essential and integral part of traditional African education. He said, strive for excellence in all that you do, so that no fault may be found in your character. Dr. John Henrik Clarke, preeminent professor of history and master teacher, said that the relationship of a people to their history is the same as the relationship of a child to its mother. Dr. John Henrik Clarke's teacher was Arthur Schomburg, historian and archivist. You may be familiar with the Schomburg Center for African American History and Culture in Harlem, New York, which is named after him. He said African history is simply the missing pages of world history. African people mastered mathematics thousands of years ago and taught it to the world. Again, at a time when our children are being underrepresented in the STEM areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, every African American child and every child of color should know their cultural connection to scientific excellence. This poster towards the bottom contains problem number 56 from the Alms Mathematics Papyrus, which details how to find the slope of a pyramid. Ida B. Wells is another one of our magnificent black women in history. She became a teacher at the age of only 16. She was a writer for the Negro Press Association and a reporter and part-time owner for the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight newspaper, the New York Age, and the Chicago Conservator newspapers. Her most famous book that she published was The Red Record, a book detailing names and accounts of blacks who were lynched in the South. In addition, One of her crowning achievements is that she was one of the founding members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the Nation of Islam. As the leader of the Nation of Islam, they had built a number of incredible businesses and organizations all over America and all over the world. They had airports, they had farmland, they had bakeries, they had fisheries, they had all sorts of wonderful and incredible businesses that were empowering black people and still do to this day. Years ago, he said something very profound. He said, how much land do we need under wheat cultivation to give our people their daily bread? This is how you must think. Is it any wonder who's the greatest of all time when it comes to boxing? That's right, Muhammad Ali, 3-time heavyweight boxing champion. But he said to be great, to be a champion, it takes more than just skill. It takes your will. And indeed, it takes our will to build and develop great schools for our children to flourish. Seshat is another of our magnificent black women in history. She was an astronomer priestess of ancient Kemet. She's often pictured in leopard print because spots represented the stars that she was studying. She's known as the mistress of writing and measurement and is credited with having developed the Medu Neter writing system, also known as hieroglyphics. And she is credited with having developed the Medu Neter system of writing because she needed a way to document her observations, her astronomical observations in the heavens. She's known as the keeper of records and she who opens the door to the heavens. Queen Amos Nefertari, another magnificent black woman in history. She was the founding matriarch and founding queen of the famed 18th dynasty of ancient Kemet. Anna Julia Cooper, educator, author, activist, and scholar, helps us to understand the power of gender complementarity. She said, there is a feminine as well as masculine side to truth. And these are related not as inferior and superior, not as better or worse, not as weaker or stronger, but as complements. Complements in one necessary and symmetric whole. El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, also known as Malcolm X. Malcolm X taught us that education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those that prepare for it today. And if you've read the autobiography of Malcolm X, you know that he stands as one example of the power of one to transform their lives through the power and the study of knowledge of self. Dr. Martin Luther King taught that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Here on this poster, we see him seated in a Birmingham, Alabama jail in 1964, fighting for justice and equality. Mary McLeod Bethune was the founder of Bethune-Cookman College and advisor to former President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. She said the true worth of a race must be measured by the character of its woman. Wow. Do you know any young sisters who need to hear that quote and see that beautiful face? Or how about this? Do we know any young brothers who need to hear the power of that quote? This is a poster that's hanging in every single classroom. Dr. Carter G. Woodson is known as the father of Black History Month, and he's the author of the groundbreaking book, The Miseducation of the Negro. He said, when you control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. He'll find his quote-unquote proper place, and he'll stay in it. You don't need to send him to the back door. He'll go without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he'll cut one for his own special benefit because his education makes it necessary. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, The Miseducation of the Negro. King Hatshepsut, that's right, King Hatshepsut, not Queen. I didn't make a mistake there. This is a woman, another magnificent black woman in history, who didn't wait to be anointed or appointed to a position of leadership. She saw that there was trouble and challenge in the land, and so she stepped forward and assumed the throne without asking anyone's permission. And after leading the nation for over 20 years, and her reign was characterized by peace and prosperity in the land, she said, I have raised up that which was in ruins, and I have restored that which was destroyed. Now, this should be the mission statement of every teacher throughout the land, to raise up great schools that are right now in many places in ruins, and to restore that which was destroyed. Indeed, this should be the mission statement of each one of our students, to raise up our communities which have come to ruins and to restore that which has been destroyed. Kwanzaa is the African-American celebration of family, community, and culture. It is a holiday that is celebrated from December 26th to January 1st. But the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, called the Nguzo Saba, are to be practiced all year round. This beautiful Kwanzaa poster details each of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa in Swahili, the English translation, and the complete meaning. This poster is a must for your students and your classroom. Kwanzaa, share the culture, celebrate the season, and practice the principles. Mentuhotep was the 12th dynasty king of Kemet who ushered in the literary age, an age of productive and prolific writing which further documented the incredible accomplishments of the people of Kemet. This African origins Kemetic timeline contains 10,000 years of incredible contributions and accomplishments. If I can be perfectly honest, this was a study guide for me that I put together so that I could better understand in chronological order the incredible things that the people of this great Nile Valley civilization were able to achieve. And so as you see, every time you look at this incredible poster, you will learn something new. This African origins Kemetic timeline also is an indispensable educational tool to increase student achievement. It is broken up vertically into the ages of ancient Kemet. At the top, you have the Pyramid Age and the Old Kingdom. You have the Literary Age and the Middle Kingdom, and then on down to the Temple Imperial Age or New Kingdom and the Revival Age or Late Kingdom. In each of the ages, you have pictures which characterize the activities of that particular age. Again, every time you look at this poster, you and your students will learn something new. Fannie Lou Hamer was a civil rights activist of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party who stormed the 1968 Democratic National Convention because she and her people had lost the right to vote. As a matter of fact, she had been beaten and terrorized numerous times just for registering to vote and attempting to register to vote. And she told the people, never forget where we came from, and always praise the bridges that carried you over. Certainly, this is something that all of our children should never forget. And then the powerful and profound words of writer and civil rights activist James Baldwin. He said, our crowns have been bought and paid for. All we have to do is put them on our heads. I think you'll agree with me that all of the posters of the Black History Power Pack are not optional, but essential. Every single school and every classroom in America should have these posters on the wall so that our children can reconnect to their roots and understand the greatness and grandeur from whence they have come. Right now, we're running a special. There are 30 posters in the Black History Poster Pack. Each one is $20. But for right now, you can get all 30 posters for only $5.49. That's right, $5.49. You're going to save $51. Just go to myteachertransformation.com and click on posters. Again, that's myteachertransformation.com and click on posters. Order your Black History Poster Pack today.